All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Just testing that you can all hear me. Mike,
Yes.
hello, and welcome.
Thanks. Thanks
Thank
for
you for
having us.
joining me today. Wonderful. So, good morning, good afternoon, and to some of us here, good evening. Thank you for joining another Atero Spotlight on Partners webinar. It's great to have you with us, and I'm most delighted to have our partners from Bitdefender here with us. Mike, hello and welcome again.
Yeah, thanks so much, Muna. Good to see you.
Great to have you with us. I know you've been traveling a lot lately, Mike. You and I have not
Yep.
had a chance to catch up before, but it's very good to have you with us today.
Thanks.
Wonderful. So I do see a few more people joining. And for those of you who have joined an Atera webinar before, I am going to do the regular ritual where I ask all of the attendees to please share, say hello, and share where you're from. Let's get this chat going. Okay, so we've got people from Florida. Mike challenged me. How many international attendees we'll have today? There we go. We've got Colorado. We've got someone from Greece. There we go.
Oh,
Awesome.
very nice.
Canada, Mike. Okay.
Huh?
I think challenge on. There we go. Wonderful.
Well, I
Just
like to
another
talk about,
minute.
oh,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
Muna.
Sorry.
I
No,
like
go
to talk
ahead.
about sports, so I need to know which sport to talk about on the call today. So I guess we'll be a global audience, so we'll talk football. Here
Football
in
as
the
in
U.S.,
soccer
it's
or football
soccer.
as in the
Yeah,
US?
so we'll talk soccer.
Okay. There we go. Let's just not upset anybody here on the call, Mike.
Exactly. If we have someone from Australia, we could talk rugby, or even Ireland. So I love sports.
There we go. But I'm sure security and sports, that goes really well together.
They do. They do.
I just want to confirm, I see someone here typing that they cannot hear Mike well. Can you please confirm?
Hmm.
Attendees, let me know if you can hear Mike okay. I can hear you okay.
Okay.
All right. So, Josh, thank you for that. Josh can hear you okay. So can Thomas. Wonderful. So let's kick this off officially. We're here to talk about building a championship security architecture. Mike is going to share with us some great insights and 3 key tips, I believe, about how to do that effectively. But just before we get started, I do want to go through some housekeeping. As usual, this webinar is being recorded and the recording will be sent to you automatically within 48 hours with a link to the recording itself, of course, where you can see it on demand. If you have any questions, please go ahead, type them in the Q&A box. It makes it easier for us to moderate, but the chat is also okay. We will announce 3 lucky winners of a $50 gift card for attendees, especially those that ask a lot of questions. And at the end of the webinar, we will share a short survey. Please help us improve. Let us know what you want to hear, what additional topics you want us to share with you. So please take the time to fill out that survey. So without further ado, let's get started. So I didn't
Awesome.
officially introduce myself. My name is Muna. I head the product marketing team here at Atera, and I work very closely with our App Center partners. I'm delighted to have Mike with us. I know, Mike, that you have over 22 years experience in the industry, a true pioneer of cloud security. Tell us more.
Sure. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, my name is Michael Reeves. I'm a technical director here at Bitdefender. I've been here about 4 years. But just to let you know a little bit about my background, so I started in the industry actually in the 90s. And for most of my career, I worked in the Fortune 50. So I handled 3 major accounts in the Fortune 50. They were American Express, globally, DHL globally, and then Honeywell. And so I'm very familiar with large scale security operations. And how I got into this space is that I started noticing early on that specifically two of those accounts started moving their applications into cloud platforms. And the vendor that I was working for at the time didn't really have any security in the cloud. And so we started a journey along with our couple of executives to move us into the cloud. And that's how I found the small, medium business and the MSP space. And I kind of fell in love with it. The people are just amazing. So I moved into that space and then got to Bitdefender about 4 years ago with a friend of mine who I had called and said, hey, I'd love to come join you. And so I joined Bitdefender, and now I'm kind of their webinar conferences. So I speak at a lot of conferences around the globe, and just talking about Bitdefender because I think we need help demystifying what we do. So I hope I can help you to do that and talk to you about how to build a really winning architecture for security that's similar to the Fortune 50, but just at a different scale. You have to do the same things. You just do them in a different way with some different people, but there's some key principles that I'll talk to you guys about today. So let me go ahead and share my screen here.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, no worries. So there we go. Window, perfect. Let me see if you can see my screen. Does it look good?
It's a little small, but
it's small.
good.
Interesting. I wonder why that
Maybe it's on
is.
my end.
Okay. Let's
No,
do
it's
this.
okay now. I think we're good.
Okay,
Now
we're good now?
Yes.
That looks good?
Yes, this is good.
Awesome. Okay. So again, my name's Michael Reeves. I'm going to talk to you about how to build a championship security architecture. Like I said in the beginning, I love sports. So we're going to talk about how sports and how security coincide with each other. And if you can get the model, which I think you will, especially if you enjoy sports as much as I do, I think it'll help demystify what you need to do to secure your own internal organization, whether you're an IT shop or whether you're a partner selling into IT shops. Both of the principles apply, and we'll talk about those. But as we get started, I want to talk a little bit about Bitdefender, because as I travel around the globe, what I notice is a lot of people don't really realize who Bitdefender is, our scale, and what we actually do. So if you think about Bitdefender, and as I've come to know the company, I've kind of fallen in love with it because we are a company of engineers. So about half of our employees, believe it or not, are actually engineers. So they are either security researchers or they're engineers developing products and solutions that we release in the marketplace. But our size and scale, for the most part, is unbeknownst to the industry. So we have between about 600 to 700 million endpoints globally running our software. And the reason why is we have a tremendous OEM business. About 30 or so percent of the security industry is actually using our intellectual property underneath the covers, and they're reselling it as their own products. And these are household brands. And so from that, we have developed a lot of security intellectual property, and we've been a very early adopter in machine learning and AI. And so all of our products and solutions are backed by machine learning and AI technology. I'll actually show you this in our production product today. And the other thing that we do is that we work a lot with law enforcement and global entities around the world to help secure their environments, but not only secure them, but also to catch criminals. So that's one of the things that we do behind the scenes. And the other thing that we're kind of famous for, so if you or someone that you know has ever been hit with ransomware, tell them to go to the Bitdefender website. We reverse engineer a lot of ransomware. That's one of the things that our engineers do on a regular basis. And so right now on our website, we've got about 32 decryptors for various strains of ransomware that we offer free to the global community to help secure your environment. So if you or someone you know gets hit with ransomware, please go to the Bitdefender website. I was actually at a conference once in Las Vegas, and two guys came up to me. Their faces were very concerned. Their company had just been hit with ransomware, and they heard me talk about this the previous day, and they said, "We need your decryptors. Can you help us?" And so stopped what I was doing, went to the Bitdefender website. Great success story. We actually had their decryptor on our website, and those were the two happiest guys for the rest of the week at that conference. So great story there. So let's dive in here. So I'm going to demystify security for you. And specifically, the security industry is separated into two parts in my mind. The first one is what we call asset-based security, and that's where data lives. So wherever data lives, I'm going to refer that to as an asset. The industry kind of calls them endpoints, whether that's a desktop, laptop, virtual instance, virtual machine, whatever you want to call it. A mobile device is also an asset. It's where data lives. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. The other piece of the industry is the network security, where data is moving from object to object. And that's not Bitdefender's business. We're not a network security company. We are what in the industry we call an asset-based security company. And so to be able to defend assets, whether you are American Express or whether you're a small, medium business or whether you're a partner selling into that particular space, you've got to do basically three things, okay? And our industry, if you're a small, medium business, our industry is good at two of them, and we are terrible at the third one. So we're going to talk about all three of these, and then I'm going to tell you how Bitdefender addresses these as well. But the first thing that you have to do, which is our industry historically, we've focused on what I call automated protection. In other words, this is your automation layer. This is your security layer of your architecture. And this is where you have the ability to automatically detect a threat and then be able to automatically respond to that particular threat. So it's an automation layer. And what you want in this particular layer is you want really high efficacy. In other words, you want to be able to automatically detect whatever threat it is across whatever threat vector it's coming in through, and then be able to automatically respond to that. And you want to do that as much as possible. And what that does is that reduces incidents that your team has to deal with. And so this is historically where small, medium business and the partners that sell into those businesses, this is where we focused historically. And what you want in this is high efficacy. If you're thinking about sports like I am all the time, this is basically your defensive side of the ball. So whether you're talking about football, where here in America we call it soccer, this is your defense, okay? And the number and effectiveness of those defensive players makes a difference. I'll give you an example. If you were a coach, let's say you've got 11 guys on the field, and you've got 11 guys on defense, and somehow through some mechanism, someone tells you, hey, you have the option to put 34 guys on defense, and you didn't know anything else about the situation, but which one would you rather have, 34 or 11 on defense? If you're a sports guy, you know, absolutely I'd want 34 guys on defense, because the number of security controls or the number of defenders that you have available on defense matters. So that's the first principle. Defense is key. This is what we call automated protection. Now, the other famous part of a sports team is the offense. And this in my analogy is what we call detection and response. And I want to make it very clear, because the industry does, I think, customers and partners a disservice here, because most of the industry sells this as automated protection, and it is not. Detection and response is about the human response, because your automation layer has failed. So something has bypassed your defense, and now humans need to take care of this particular situation. And what do humans need to be able to respond to these particular threats? They need two things. Number one, they need great visibility. In other words, be able to tell me very quickly, because time is of the essence. You have already bypassed your automation layer. Time is of the essence. I need to be able to see what is happening and be able to do the second thing, which is respond, whether it's benign or whether it's malicious. I need to be able to respond. If the threat, the perceived threat, or the incident is benign, I need to be able to whitelist something very quickly so that I can move on with my daily business. Or if it's malicious, I need to be able to respond and kill that process, isolate that host, do a rollback, do whatever I need to do to be able to respond to that particular incident. So correlated visibility and the ability to determine whether something is malicious or benign and do it very quickly and then be able to respond is what you want in this area. This is the human area of security. Now, there's a third area that our industry is just not very good at. In fact, I would say it's the biggest difference between, let's say, a Fortune 50 versus a small, medium business or a partner selling into that space. Okay. And just like a sports team, I want you to think about a sports team. We've talked about offense, we've talked about defense. What else is there on a sports team that we haven't talked about? In soccer, in world football, we call that the transition game or the midfield. In American football, it's called special teams. And if you're an American here, just think about the Bills game last Sunday night where special teams failed and they lost the game. Think about if you're a football team and you're moving from offense to defense or defense to offense, and you're always turning the ball over in the midfield, or you can't get through the midfield, what does that do to your team? That puts tremendous pressure on both your offense and defense. The same principle applies in security. If you do not do this third area of your architecture, you put tremendous pressure on both your offense and your defense in your security architecture. And we call this prevention or hardening. It is the ability to analyze your risk in your environment and be able to systematically reduce the attack surface in your environment. We just don't do this well as an industry. That's one of the reasons why criminals love small, medium businesses and MSP space, is because we do not do this well. I liken this to another analogy. Let's say you have a car. Well, most people have vehicles, right? You have a car and you go to the store in your car. The first thing you do after you park your car, when you get out of your car, what do? You close the doors, you roll up the windows, you close your trunk, and you lock your car. Why do you do that? You are hardening your car against attack. That is what you are doing. What criminals see in the small, medium businesses is they see, imagine you're at a football stadium, and imagine you're a criminal and you're looking out in a parking lot full of cars, all of them having their doors open. That is that is a field ripe for the taking if you're a criminal. And that's our industry. So we're going to talk about all three of these areas. We'll talk about how Bitdefender protects you in all three of these areas. So let's start in the area that is our weakest area, and that is prevention and hardening. Okay. This is, other than email, the easiest way for a criminal to come into your organization or your customer's organization. It is because our environments are, for the most part, other than networking that we've kind of hardened with firewalls and stuff, this is the easiest way in. In fact, one way that is really critical, that is a gaping hole in most organizations, is over here on the right-hand side. Insecure guest logon accounts. You know the number 2 way that ransomware comes into your environment? The first one is email. The second one is insecure guest logon accounts. They are anonymous guest accounts in every Windows environment on the globe. There is a legitimate Windows account, believe it or not, that has no password associated with it. It bypasses all of your security controls. A criminal can come inside your organization from the outside with no password. And it is a legitimate Windows account. So they can come in, they can do reconnaissance, they can live in your environment for months, and you will have no idea that they are there. So what Bitdefender does in this area is we analyze about 1,800 different areas of risk in your environment, from operating system risk, networking risk, applications that are vulnerable, even user risks. And we quantify those risks for you. And we not only quantify them for you, we prioritize them into high, medium, and low base risks. And then we tell you how to fix most of them. So change this group policy, change this group policy, disable this, disable that. And what we're allowing you to do is systematically, on a procedural basis. I'm big in workflows. You can build a workflow to be able to, over time, reduce the attack surface in your customer's environment, or if you're an internal IT shop, in your own environment. Again, we analyze risks over misconfigurations, networking, operating system, application vulnerabilities, and human-based risks. We prioritize them for you, and then we tell you how to remediate those risks. And what you're doing is you are closing the doors to your car using Bitdefender. When I came to Bitdefender, this is actually what impressed me the most about our solution, was not all the other bells and whistles, but this is so critical for small, medium business today. And we just don't do it very much. It's built right into Bitdefender. So let's talk about the defense. So we've talked about the midfield or the special teams or the transition game. Let's talk about the defense. And what I said about defense is the number of defenders matters. The number of defensive players matters. And this is where Bitdefender shines, in that Bitdefender just has more defenders on the field. I'm going to highlight 2 of over 30 security controls or defenders that you can implement to defend your environment in an automated way. So again, this is automated protection. We have over 30 security controls or 30 defenders. Most of the industry, by the way, has between about 20 to 26 security controls. We have over 30. And that's one of the reasons architecturally that we win most third-party tests. We're always number 1 in this area. Why? Because we just have more defenders on the field. So I'm going to highlight 2 of them. The first one is what we call HyperDetect. HyperDetect is basically tunable machine learning. what we learned, and if you think about next gen products, the Achilles heel of next gen is that they operate from a machine learning or AI basis where you can dial up or dial down your protection. So in other words, you can be more aggressive or you can be more permissive. But in all other products, you have to do that across the board. So if I want to be very aggressive in my defense, what am I going to get? I get a flood of false positives. And so I dial it back down or I just turn it off. What Bitdefender learned early on, because we've been doing this since 2008, believe it or not. So this is our 16th year of machine learning in production. We learned that you need to be a little bit more granular when it comes to machine learning. And so we allow you to be as aggressive or permissive as you want per threat vector. So if you're concerned about ransomware, which I think everyone should be concerned about ransomware, be aggressive there, but leave everything else as normal. And what that does is that cuts down your false positives while still allowing you to be aggressive where you want to be aggressive. So that's the first area. Second area is sandboxing. Sandboxing is really critical because it allows the platform, again, this is automated defense, to upload objects into the Bitdefender cloud, detonate those objects, and then be able to determine exactly what the nature of that threat particularly is. Really, really critical to deal with the gray, what I call the gray area of security. It's like you've got the known good, okay, and then you've got the known bad. What about the rest of the objects in your environment? Well, having an ability to remotely detonate those unknown objects, be able to take all of the guesswork out of the response for that particular object, whether it's good or whether it's bad, you can do that using sandboxing. So that's just two of over 30 security controls that Bitdefender has. We deal with threats across the network. We've got HIDs and HIPs built into our security product. So in other words, we're analyzing network packets for content, not just a firewall, but we actually expose the contents of that network traffic so we can block things like brute force password stealers. We block lateral movement within your environments. We cover not only objects on the systems, but objects moving in and out of those assets as well. So just we cover the basis when it comes to the defensive side of the ball with Bitdefender. Now let's talk about the fun part. And our industry for the last probably 5 or so years has started to invest in what I call the human area of security. In my terminology, this is detection and response. I'm going to define what EDR, XDR, MDR, all the DRs there basically mean detection and response. And all of these solutions, I want you to think humans. Humans are responsible to do this. This is not automation, and I think it's our industry does a disservice here because we sell these as automation, and they are not. They are designed to enable humans to intervene in an incident because the automation layer has failed. Someone has bypassed your hardening, they bypassed your defense, and now humans need to get involved in the process. So what are these things? Well, I talked to you about 2 different capabilities that you want in an EDR, an XDR, and an MDR response area of your architecture. And the first one is visibility. Visibility is really critical. Your humans need to be able to identify if something is malicious or benign and do it very quickly. The time to response matters because humans are slower than automation. So time is of the essence. And what you want and what Bitdefender does in this particular area, unlike most products in this space, is we correlate activity out of the box. Let me repeat that. Bitdefender correlates incidents out of the box. So, case in point, let's say a criminal comes into your organization and is now operating on 25 of your endpoints. In most of these types of tools, you're going to see 25 different incidents that your team has to deal with. Bitdefender does not take that approach. That is very slow. That is very inefficient. Bitdefender takes all 25 incidents, correlates them, and presents your team one incident with 25 objects in it. Now, the other thing that we do is we integrate XDR technologies as well for visibility. So if you've got a user account that's involved in an incident, we show you those users. If you have an email associated with that particular incident, we show you the emails. If you've got stuff flowing across your network, we show you those objects as well. If you've got cloud type environments that are involved in this particular incident, we show you them, whether they're in AWS, Azure, Google, whatever. We correlate this activity and show it to you in one incident. What does that do? That helps your team to be able to go, this is what's happening, be able to determine whether it's malicious or benign, and then do number two, which is to take action. Not only can you take action on endpoints, servers, workstations, that type of stuff, you can also take action on XDR type objects as well. So notice on this screen, I can disable a user by clicking a button. I can kill an email right out of Office 365 by clicking a button. That is time to response as well, and Bitdefender helps you with that. Let's move on. I talked about this at the beginning. We are an AI organization. We've been doing AI for years. We have lots of patents in AI. And I predict that 2024, all of the security vendors are going to be talking about releasing solutions with AI. Bitdefender has already had this for over a year. This is our production environment. This entire screen has been generated by AI. So it is our AI engines looking at your telemetry and then telling you in human readable format what is happening in your environment, what is the impact, what is the root cause, and then notice over on the right, we actually guide you and we tell you what our AI engine says, this is how we think you should respond to this. You should isolate 3 endpoints. We think you should kill 3 emails out of Office 365. You can click on those links over the right, click on those objects and click execute, and we will do it for you. Again, taking your time to respond down to seconds and minutes rather than hours. That is what we do in the EDR, XDR field. But let's say you don't want to deal with this at all. Let's say I don't want my teams to do any of this. You can actually turn this over to Bitdefender, and Bitdefender has 3 security operations centers globally that are all 24/7 by 365, and all of this capability is built into Bitdefender. You don't have to deploy anything. You can onboard this in minutes, and you get the benefit of Bitdefender security operations centers taking action in your environment on your behalf. Onboarding this is very simple. You basically go into your account or your customer's account. You edit the licensing options for that. You tick a box that says, I want managed detection and response, and you click save. And within minutes, you are now onboarded into Bitdefender Security Operations Center. How do we do that? Your account that is on our platform automatically becomes visible when you click save there. All we do is we give visibility for your customer account or your partner account to be visible in our SOC. It is a mapping exercise for Bitdefender. So you can onboard this service within minutes. And then what will happen is a workflow will kick off and you'll receive an email from Bitdefender that says, welcome to Bitdefender's MDR service. And we want you to log into that website because that is the front end workflow for our security operations center. And we need you to do two things. The first thing that we need you to do is to tell us who to call, not to tell you that you have a problem, but to tell you we've already taken action in your environment. Here is where we are right now. So we need to know who to call, not to tell you that you have a problem, to tell you we've already taken action in your environment, and here's the current situation. And how do we know what actions we take? Well, we want you to tell us which actions you don't want us to take on your behalf. So we list out all of our response capabilities, and we want you to tell us which ones we're allowed to do. I recommend you allow us to take all actions on your behalf. This is your 24/7 security operations center service that we will take action on your behalf. We want you to fill out those two forms and you're done. But what about mobile? Mobile's the new threat vector. What is Bitdefender doing in the mobile environment? I talked about my architecture. Bitdefender helps to harden your mobile device. So we are the midfield in your security architecture, and we are the defense for your security architecture. MDM, so mobile device management, is your detection and response capability. That is the human area of security. Bitdefender interacts with those MDM solutions, but we are not an MDM. We are basically the hardening and the automated protection. And here's why you need this. Because mobile devices are a real threat vector in your environments. Mobile devices connect to all sorts of different types of insecure networks all over the globe. Users have been trained to just log on to the networks, and those are completely insecure. So you've got data that is moving back and forth to that mobile device through those insecure networks, high risk. Same thing with phishing. I look at phishing here. Think about getting an email on your mobile device. Most of that information, let's say you get sent a URL, something to click on. That URL is completely obfuscated and it's truncated, and you don't even know what you're clicking. So you need the ability for Bitdefender to intercept that request, check out that website before your user can click on it on their mobile device. Just two of many, many values for mobile security. So what does Bitdefender do in mobile security? We look at applications, we look at their security risks associated with them, and then allow you to take action on those particular applications that may be malicious on your mobile device. We offer anti-phishing and web access control on a mobile device. We offer network protections for things like man-in-the-middle attacks, reconnaissance, things like that. If you've got a risky situation, you can have Bitdefender enable an automatic VPN for your mobile device to encrypt the data that's moving to and from that mobile device. And then we actually harden the device itself. This is what it looks at for your customers or your end users. It's basically an app that you put on your phone. We cover iOS, Android, and Chromebooks, and we extend your security architecture from the hardening and the defensive layer out to your mobile device. So let's close by talking about why Bitdefender. One, we win most third-party awards whenever we are tested against the industry. There's no secret about why we do this. Forrester last quarter, believe it or not, ranked us in the very high top amongst all the leaders in the industry. Why? Because we take a prevention security approach. That's what we were highlighted for. In other words, We don't want someone to get into your environment. And think I've got a screenshot associated with that. We are a prevention first type security product. We want to keep them out of your environment. If they get into your environment, we allow you to respond very quickly, whether it's you responding or whether it's our security operations center responding. Someone needs to respond because your automated security controls and your hardening has been bypassed. And now you need humans to be able to respond to that particular threat. So a championship security architecture looks like this. It starts with hardening. Hardening is really critical. If you're on the webinar today or you're going to watch this later on, please think about in 2024, if you're not going to use Bitdefender, how are we going to harden our environment against attack? Do it in a systematic way. Get yourself a tool that's able to analyze your attack surface. And then as a procedure or as a workflow in 2024, go ahead and systematically reduce the attack surface. That's the single most important thing and most important message that I can bring to you today. Do this and lock the doors to your car. Close the car doors to protect your environment against attack. Secondly, you want automated protection. You want really high efficacy. Really, really important. This is the defensive side of the ball. And then finally, you want the ability to enable your humans or someone else's humans to be able to intervene in an incident, be able to quickly determine whether something is malicious or benign, and then take action on whatever that threat is and do it very, very quickly. That is a championship security architecture. So thanks very much. I am good. Muna, you want to take it away?
Yes, thank you so much for that, Mike.
You're welcome.
If you don't mind leaving this, turning
Oh,
that
you want
off,
me
I'll
to?
go
Yeah,
back
sure.
into, we'll stop sharing because I do want to continue here. But before I continue and just talk a little bit about how Bitdefender fits in with Atera, I do want to address a couple of questions just in context.
Sure.
A first question, I think this we can help Donald here asking if there's a presentation or some kind of content that he can use to explain all of these goodies and benefits to clients as he's selling the service.
Absolutely, yeah. So Bitdefender has what we call a partner advantage network or a PAN portal. And as any Bitdefender partner who's selling our solution can absolutely, it's a free login and password. You basically register on the site, and then you've got access to a whole bunch of different Bitdefender materials. We also have what we call master classes that we offer globally, where engineers at Bitdefender will dive into the various technologies that I talked about. We'll show you how to do it. We'll show you how to sell it. We'll show you what the value is. And those are also available as well. So we call those master classes. And then, yeah, that's a couple of resources that I thought about from that question. Good question.
Wonderful. There is a question here about clients that use Google Workspace or Chromebooks. How
Yes.
beneficial is this to them?
Yeah, great question. So we cover G Suite from like an XDR perspective. We also cover Chromebooks from a mobile perspective. And then stay tuned. In this year, I believe we are also moving mobile telemetry into our detection and response capability. So you'll be able to, if you have an MDM, you'll be able to initiate actions from within our detection response capabilities, and you can invoke MDM type actions from within our console. So the mobile piece, so the Chromebook piece is coming. We do have defense for Chromebooks, so you can have the hardening and you've got the defense or the automated protection for Chromebooks. And then from an email perspective, I didn't really focus on this, but we also do email security for G Suite. So We cover that from a XDR telemetry perspective, as well as from like an anti-spam malware perspective if you're on the Google platform. So great question.
Wonderful. And I think a transition into the following slide, there's a question here about is it an all or none approach for clients? Meaning, are you required to have licensing on every single endpoint or every single device for the clients? Or can you just
Oh, good question.
provision this for certain customers, certain devices?
Yeah, you can provision this for certain customers, certain devices. If and You have full control over what you deploy and how much you want to deploy. I'm trying to think of what other scenarios here. So, like for example, well, actually, I'll give you a great example of this. So when we do really well on the Mac platform, and so when Mac released their M1 chip, I don't know, a couple years ago, Bitdefender supported that in production on day one. And so we got a flood of customers and partners during that month. I think it was like in an April timeframe or something. And people flooded to us because we already supported that in production. And so they rolled Bitdefender out on their Mac only devices as well. So it's yeah, you can deploy where you want, however you want with us. Now, one caveat to this is in a SOC environment. I get this question a lot with managed detection and response. Can I just put this on? Let's say that I've got 50 endpoints in my environment. I only want your security operation team looking at 5 of those endpoints. That is something that Bitdefender will not take on, and rightfully so from a risk perspective. Basically, in essence, you're asking us to defend your environment through 5 endpoints. That is not something that Bitdefender is going to take on. So MDR is an all or nothing. So if you've got 50 endpoints, you need to have 50 licenses on our managed detection response to cover all the endpoints in that environment so that we can actually defend your environment on your behalf. So that's the only real caveat that I can think of from a deployment perspective.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Mike. And I think this is a great segue into the special deal and bundles that we have. So for
Okay.
those of you that are not Atera users or that are Atera users and maybe haven't had the opportunity, I want to remind you that we have an app marketplace, the App Center. It's really the destination for discovering, trialing, and deploying all of our integrated partner solutions. We have a whole variety of solutions from backup and recovery, cybersecurity, network monitoring, remote monitoring, and so on. And of course, Bitdefender's in there. And with Bitdefender, you get the 45-day free trial with the easy provisioning, the mass deploying through the Atera agent from within the Atera console. And of course, it is all built through Atera where you can monitor and track your usage. And for those attendees on today's webinar, I do want to share with you a special EDR and MDR package that we are promoting here. It's license bundles. There is a minimum term here of 250 endpoints. And if you move to an annual subscription, then you can save big on these packages. So it is a base of Gravity Zone with advanced threat security. And then it's an EDR package and an MDR package. Maybe you want to give a few words here, Mike.
Yeah, that'd be great. So EDR package basically gives you all 3 of the architecture that you want. It gives you the hardening, it gives you your automated protection, and it gives you your detection response. And the difference between the EDR and the MDR package is simply this: which humans are going to get involved in an incident if something happens in your environment. So with EDR, your humans are going to be involved. In other words, they need to be able to intervene, whether that is something that happens at 12 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon, or if it happens at 1 a.m. on Saturday morning. Your humans are going to need to get involved when you have the EDR package, and a lot of that works for a lot of companies because they have people that are on call and things like that. The MDR package, if you say, that's basically you're saying, Bitdefender, take care of me. I want you to do my security on my behalf. So the difference between those two packages is actually just the human response to an incident in your particular environment. So I hope that's helpful.
Thank you for that, Mike. And just to clarify, if you are interested to learn more, um, please reach out to our support team or to your customer success, or hit that request a demo button. We'll reach out to you. And obviously, we're also going to ask you in the survey if you want to learn more and get more information. We're more than happy to share what exactly that entails and what the actual savings that could be at a minimum $4,000 a year for those 250 endpoints. So thank you for that, Mike. And now
Yeah.
I want to go back to the Q&A. We have quite a few questions. We may not get to all of them, but we'll definitely get back and respond over email.
Yeah.
So there's a question here. I think you answered this one about MDR to specific devices.
Yeah.
Let's take a different one here. Are we controlling this from within the Atera dashboard or from the Bitdefender platform?
Good question. So I think the deployment and maybe some alerts and things like that will go. You'll be using Terra, but then to set up like let's say a policy to be able to set up your automated protection, that'll be done within Gravity Zone. And then any of the incidents, so in other words, the detection and response piece is going to be through Bitdefender. We do all the correlation. It would be wicked expensive for Atera to actually replicate what we've done there. So I'd recommend you go to Gravity Zone for that. And then also the hardening piece as well. So that is all built right into Gravity Zone. There's only one UI, one login. You log in. All of the capabilities that I talked about are all within that one UI. It's pretty simple to set up, and it's designed to be automated. So anyway, that's a long-winded answer to that question. Apologies for that.
No worries. I think there's a question here about DNS filtering and
Oh,
if
good
that
question.
exists.
Yes, so we do this. And this probably stems from the fact that I said that we analyze network traffic. We also can analyze encrypted network traffic as well. So you can do URL category filtering engine from Bitdefender by policy. And all you do is you turn on our web filtering, and you turn on what we call content control. And when you turn on content control, you can get as sophisticated as you want. There's a scheduler in there. You can set up URL category filtering. You'll see all of the categories there. You tick the boxes, which where areas that you don't want your users to browse to. You've got whitelisting and blacklisting. You can even remove content from your users as well. So I had a case where a partner had 4 systems in a lobby, and they didn't want those 4 systems to access the internet at all. So they actually just turned it off. We have all of those types of capabilities built right into Bitdefender. We don't do it on the network. We do it because we can analyze content on the client. Now, what the benefit of this is no matter what network your device connects to, you can implement URL category filtering. So you don't actually need, I remember when COVID first hit and started to get everybody all crazy. But when people went home, you saw VPN sales skyrocket because everyone now had to route, everybody was doing DNS filtering on the network side. So they had to figure out a way to route all of these endpoints back through the corporate network. You do not have to implement that type of architecture with Bitdefender. We analyze the network traffic regardless of what network that's on, and you can apply security controls to that. So great question. The other thing I want to mention before we close, we cover Windows, Mac, Linux, mobile, which equals iOS, Android, and Chromebooks. So those are all of the platforms that we support in Gravity Zone.
Thank you, Mike. As I said, there's a lot of questions, but I don't think we're going to have enough time to go through them.
Yeah, no worries.
So I do want at this point to announce 3 random winners from the attendees that get the $50 gift card. We will reach out to you after the webinar and send those to you. And please forgive me if I don't pronounce your names accurately. The first one is Rafael Orozco. Congratulations, Rafael. We have Greg Campbell. Congratulations, Greg. And we have Blake Stovall. Forgive me
Okay,
if I
great.
didn't pronounce that correctly, but thank you for attending and for being active here. Thanks, everyone. Again, I will launch a survey in a minute, but I want to take this opportunity to say thank you, Mike, for the insights. I think I've also expanded my knowledge on soccer with the offense, defense, and the midfield. So thank you for that.
Nice.
Um, and looking forward to hosting another webinar with you soon. Thanks a lot for
That'd be
your
great.
time. Thank you, everyone. Please don't forget to answer the survey. We love your feedback. Thanks again, and hope to see you soon on another Atera Partner Spotlight webinar.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye-bye.